Hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Areli. I'm a plant-based doctor and I eat a raw vegan diet. I've been eating this way for 4 years and counting. I don't see any other way of living. Honestly, once you explore so many dietary options, you end up realizing that the more antioxidants you consume, the more fiber, the more water, the more hydration, the more nutrition, you find so many benefits. I mean, I just feel like my life has started, and I implemented the raw vegan diet full, like fully raw, so to speak. I would say 99% 4 years ago, and I've seen a lot of changes. Let me see. I'm waiting for my friend raw vegan Ranzi, so hopefully she can um, request to join. No, I'm not the only raw vegan doctor on earth. There's another doctor called Tumi Johnson. She is a hospitalist, and she's also raw vegan. Okay, here's Karen. Karen, oh my God, what happened? Karen, can you send a request again? For some reason, Oh, hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you, Areli?
Good, and you?
I'm doing great. Only a few days more left here in Costa Rica with all this wonderful tropical fruit, and then I go back to the States.
Oh well, but you're coming to a nice season. It's spring now.
I'm looking forward to it because down here is now the rainy season.
Right.
And
One
it's been
question.
hard to take long walks because, you just get poured on. So,
It's so hot, right? Yeah, I am coming from a tropical weather and I know how it is. Yeah. So, I'm recording on the street. Like, I just found like a little spot to sit because all the cafeterias were like not nice around here. So, I wonder if it's too noisy. If it's too noisy, I'll put my headphones.
I hear you very clearly. I don't know about others, but I hear you very clearly.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about some of the things that people may question about our lifestyle. Some people think that raw veganism is about a bunch of hippies just taking the sunlight and fasting. That's a misconception, right? Like, thank you, Amber, for confirming that you hear me well. That's a misconception that many people believe when they listen to raw vegan. They listen to, all these stories of ex-raw vegans, and they may ask or question, like, well, if it really worked, why so many people are going ex-vegan or ex-raw vegan? So we're talking about Karen Ranzi, my host, my guest here. She has been practicing this lifestyle for over 25 years, and she's not, a random person that just discovered it or did a raw vegan challenge. She is a well-educated person. She's a speech pathologist. She's a speaker. She's an author. She has written many books and courses, and is a raw vegan coach. So, and myself, I've been studying my whole life, literally, and I have so many degrees in so many countries: Mexico, UK, and the States. So that should tell you something. Like, we wouldn't be talking about this without basis. So, Karen, why don't you start mentioning some of the uh, supporting arguments that science backs up this lifestyle with?
It's so true that many times people don't know that there's all this science, but and they're not only science, but so many personal experiences going so far back. I mean, I have a history with it in my own family because my grandmother in 1921 had severe asthma and emphysema, and they didn't have processed food back then. They didn't have genetically modified food, but her diet was animal food and highly cooked foods. And she didn't have much in the way of fresh, raw plant foods. The words vegan and raw didn't even exist back then.
Right.
But she was hospitalized for asthma and emphysema. And the doctor said that her emphysema was so serious, they didn't expect her to live more than a few months. And she was very fortunate in that somebody brought a book to the hospital for her. And it was the Mucusless Diet Healing System, a little paperback book that was about plant foods. And she read it, and it changed her life forever. Some people are not motivated to make changes even when they are faced with that opportunity. But my grandmother was motivated. She was a single mom. My father was only 4 years old. And if she died the way the doctors were expecting, she would not have known what would have happened to my father, who was a young child. So there was an extra motivation there. And she went to plant food, and I grew up watching my father and my grandmother as vegans, and eating mostly raw food. They had a little bit of steamed vegetables sometimes in the evening, but they ate mostly raw fruits and vegetables. And my grandmother lived almost another 50 years. So,
Wow.
and quality, high quality life. And she was in and on and off living with us. So I got to hear her healing story over and over again. But my mother did not believe that we could get enough protein growing up as children. So she raised my sister and I on animal food and processed food. And I ended up with all the problems that we see in standard diets, such as acne and digestive issues and menstrual cycle issues. And it wasn't until I was 17 that I went vegetarian for ethical reasons. At least I thought they were ethical, because I thought that I was helping the animals, but I wasn't, because I was eating dairy, and that is one of the cruelest industries. But I wasn't aware of that until much later. In 1989, 33 years ago, I went vegan because I understood that what was really happening within the dairy and egg industries. And that's when it made the most sense to me. And I believe that the people who come in first and foremost for that reason are not going to be so quick to move out of veganism.
Right.
Because, you were saying that so many people, that they leave a vegan and raw vegan lifestyle, but they haven't really focused on it. And when I came into vegan, I was eating a lot of processed food, so I wasn't eating healthfully. It wasn't until I went raw vegan in 1994 that my cystic acne disappeared in 3 months. My digestive issues were gone in about the same time, or even a little bit less. And everything started working, including my whole monthly cycle. Like every 28 days, it just normalized. And I
Right.
started realizing that there was a tremendous amount of research to back up all of these kinds of dramatic recoveries. It wasn't just, that it happened to a few people. It was happening to many people. And my grandmother's story was my inspiration, which led me to really go forward with researching it and writing books, putting out there so that people understood how to raise their families. My most recent book is about healing and preventing autism, natural solutions that work. And I wrote that with my background in speech and language pathology, as well as all of my experiences as a vegan and raw food health coach since 1998.
Right.
And we were talking in our last live together, we were talking about the abundance of research that people are not aware of. And I just wanted to quote some of that. I'm not going to go into detail, but I just want people to be aware that you can look up this research and even research books. One of them being a book that was written by an anthropology professor, Dr. Robert Sussman, professor of anthropology at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. And it's called Man the Hunted: Primates, Predators, and Human Evolution. And that book is a huge book telling that hunting and eating animals is only modern mythology. It is not the truth that we were gatherers. We were not hunters. We were the prey. We like to think that we were the predators, but sorry, We were not. We used our intellect and our cooperation with each other as human beings because that's where we excel. And we use that cooperation to be able to get away from our predators.
Right.
And we were gatherers. We have always loved fruits and greens and leafy greens. So that's one book. And then, of course, a very popular one today that you talked about last time in our live was the China study by Dr. T. Colin Campbell and his son Thomas Campbell. And that is extensively researched. And he and Dr. Campbell was a dairy farmer. He grew up in Wisconsin on a dairy farm. But as professor of nutritional biochemistry at Cornell University, he was hired by Oxford University to go to China and study the way that people ate and where disease was coming from. And what he found in this study, and he had a whole team working on this with him, what he found in China was that no matter where he went, no matter which canton he went to, and the research was consistently bringing up that the closer he got to the cities, the more cancer. And the reason was that people had more money to buy more meat and animal food. And so he was finding this repeatedly, that people in the rural areas didn't have the breast cancer, the pancreatic cancer, all the different cancers that he was looking at. It was closer to the cities. And when he received this research, the answers to it, he was just stunned. And he said, let's repeat this. Let's go to the Philippines. So he took the team and they went to the Philippines, and it was the same again. That the urine samples, the food diaries, the blood work that they compared, it was all based on animal food diets. And so that was resulting in the book, The China Study, the longest nutritional study ever done, 27 years.
Right.
He also did the foreword for my book, Heal and Prevent Autism. Dr. Campbell wrote a 3-page foreword for me because my book does have 29 pages of research about plant foods for healing. Another study is from the Journal of Nutrition. There's scientific evidence showing that raw food diets decrease toxic products in the colon. Very interesting. In the journal Epidemiology, there's a study that shows that diets that are rich in raw vegetables lower the risk of breast cancer, and fruit reduces the risk of colon cancer. And then in the British Medical Journal, there's an article that talks about an abundance of fruit is associated with fewer deaths from heart attacks and related problems by as much as 24% and more. And there's also pregnancy studies that were done describing early eating patterns. For example, in the pediatric journal, I believe it was 2007, there was a study showing that women who eat an abundance of fruits and vegetables during pregnancy, that the taste goes into the amniotic fluid, and those children from those mothers, they love fruits and vegetables for the rest of their lives. And the same with nursing. There was an article in the Journal of Public Health and Nursing back in 2009. And that article stated that women who are nursing, that if they're eating an abundance of fruits and vegetables, that their children will love fruits and vegetables for the rest of their lives. So these kinds of studies are all over medical research. There was also a study done on hot flashes. And this was particularly interesting to me because I did a mini course for the upcoming Raw Vegan Bundle, which is almost finished.
Oh yeah.
Tomorrow is the last day, and Dr. Areli and I both have information in there. I have a happy, healthy menopause mini course in the Raw Vegan Bundle. And just the course is worth more than the bundle. So if this is an interesting topic for you, I highly recommend that you get the bundle with over 35 mini courses and ebooks. But
Yeah.
inside my menopause mini course, I talk about women's health going into menopause and hot flashes. And traditional Asian women, not the contemporary, because there are 7-Elevens and McDonald's on many streets in Asian countries, but the traditional Asian women are still having very low percentages of hot flashes. Like Asian women, it's something like 10 to 17%. And in the United States, 75% of women over 50 get hot flashes and other symptoms of menopause. So this is just a very small amount of the research that I'm talking about. And I'm sure that you have more to add to that, Dr. Areli.
Yeah, sure. I can just complement what you say based on going along the same lines of anthropology. But before that, would you like to continue in your live, or we should just do this live and that's it? What do you think?
I don't know. We could continue it on mine, but I feel like we're already into some heavy
Yeah,
duty
yeah. That's
stuff.
what I wanted to. I wanted to not kind of take a lot of time by um, throwing in more information. I just wanted to ask you if you were okay, because there
Yes,
will be
I'm
people
okay. I'm going to try to download this live into
yeah,
Instant Save afterwards and then upload it to my live so that my followers will see it as well.
perfect. It makes total sense. And I'll download it as well, because I will repurpose it to my YouTube channel. And if I can, compress it, I'll forward that to you if you haven't downloaded already. So perfect. So let's continue here. And based on what you say about anthropology, first of all, let me tell you, people, when you hear like, oh, science supports this and science supports that, you should be smarter than the people who are trying to sell you something. Like keto diet, people will say science supports keto diet. People who will tell you to eat paleo diet, they will find the science to support their stand. But we, in this day and age, we need to go beyond that. Like, that's why we have access to the internet. Like, everybody could find out if long-term studies exist about the ketogenic diet. They're not. It's kind of like a new thing. It's being repurposed, like the Atkins diet, that was very famous in the 70s, 80s, probably. Um, and then the Atkins author, right? There was
He
a
had a
doctor called
stroke.
Atkins, passed away of
Yeah.
heart conditions. So, I mean, knocking on the wood, I don't expect to die unless, life happens, right? But like from severe chronic conditions that are a result of a bad lifestyle choices, I don't expect that. We're going to die eventually for sure. And we're not going to live forever, of course. Like, I'm not telling you that raw veganism is going to give you immortality, but the science that supports plant-based diet can be translated into justifying or supporting the raw vegan lifestyle, because at the end of the day, is the consumption of a hydrating food, high fiber food, full of antioxidants, full of nutrition, leaving the minimal amount of toxic residue in your body. So if you think that an animal product will leave you with no residues or anything like that, you're wrong. Find out why so many people with gout have uric acid levels that are sky high and are creating problems in their joints. Rheumatoid arthritis. Somebody mentioned in the comment section what fats are healthy for rheumatoid arthritis. Basically, anything that is omega-3 rich, chia seeds, flax seeds, and hemp seeds, and a little bit of saturated fats like coconut and avocado. I just got
I
question
got
a
into
day for you.
with people with rheumatoid arthritis and just going to whole plant foods already is going to make a big difference because of what Dr. Areli is saying with the fiber.
Yeah.
The fiber is all the difference with rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
I've seen people heal over and over and over again.
We recently did a video with Lisa Raffo Drummond's about the most common mistakes that ex-vegans and ex-raw vegans do. Check it out in my YouTube channel, but I'm just gonna bring a little bit of that information about the fiber to support our lifestyle, because people worry about protein, right? Like that's kind of like so backwards. Guys, if you're asking where do you get your protein, it seems like that's a very kindergarten level question. And with this era of information, you should just go to Google, to your favorite browser, and say, do plants have protein? And the answer is going to be yes. So please don't ask that question. Ask it, of course. They're not silly questions, but I'm just telling you that that's so like outdated. That's so like last decade. Everybody should know at this moment that plants, fruits, vegetables, seeds have protein. Okay, that's, please move on. The next question should be, what is the nutrient that nobody pays attention to? And everybody worries about protein. Everybody worries about fat. Healthy carbs. Actually, no. People worry just about protein in general, but nobody talks about one of the most important nutrients, which is fiber. Fiber. And in the video that I did with Lisa, we talk about the microbiome and how healthy plant-based fiber fits our microbiome. And those little creatures that live in our gut are in charge of producing so many hormones and substances that benefit our whole economy. So next time you're wondering, where do I get your protein? The question is, where do you get your fiber? Okay? So, and it's not only Metamucil or, this, there are so many brands of powders that is like, oh, take your fiber, etc. No, you cannot substitute. You cannot take shortcuts. Don't expect to have the same amount of nutrition and hydration and vitamins and antioxidants from a powder that has been there desiccated and in a shelf, compared to the vitality and water and the medium that is contained in plant-based food.
And all of the micronutrients.
Yes.
The
It's not
micronutrients in plant foods you just can't get anywhere else. They're not in animal food, and they're not in all the packaged processed stuff that people are eating. And there's little to no fiber in any of those. And there's no fiber in animal foods at all. You're only going to get your fiber from plants, whole plants,
Yeah.
and you're only going to get your micronutrients that you need from whole plants.
Yeah. And based on the anthropological studies that you were mentioning, I mentioned in my last live as well that, yes, we were not the predators, we were the prey. We were not the hunters, we were hunted. We were running away from wild animals because, let's just be honest, at the moment, like if you follow the evolution of man on Earth, we didn't have weapons to kill a big pig, wild pig. We didn't have the weapons to kill a mammoth, or I don't know. It's everything started with finding out the best, brightest, ripest fruit, vegetables, but basically fruit at the beginning. And then eventually we had to move. We discover agriculture. We discover, we discover Bronze Age and all that stuff, like how to make tools out of metals, things of that nature. But before that, just think about it. Will you be hunting a lion, or I don't know what they ate in the past, or what they kind of justify that they ate in the past? Would you be willing to do that?
We were running away from them.
Yeah, we were running away from them.
We were running away from them the whole time, and they were, they were our predators. We were the prey, and and that's another reason why we need to move. So it's part of the whole picture, because back then, that's how we gathered. We had to find our food, and we also were running away from our predators. So we need to eat the whole food, and we also need to be getting enough fitness to be able to digest all that food. It all works together. It helps us to sleep better. So all of this is connected.
Exactly. And just bringing a little bit the anthropology part, like if people want to justify like, oh, the cavemen were hunters and they chased all these big animals. No. They found fecal matter that has been fossil and fossils, like fecal matter, but it's a fossil. They found that the composition of that fecal matter from the caveman is actually plant-based. Like all that fiber has to be because a caveman was actually a plant-based. If they ate meat occasionally, of course, but in order to nourish themselves on a daily basis, it's plant-based. The other thing that I wanted to mention is another study to support this lifestyle. Is one, I mean, there are many anthropologists and people who study like how we live in the past, but one of them is one author from New York University. She's very young. Actually, it was his thesis publication or study. She said that was actually fruit that made our brains bigger and smarter.
I've
It
seen
was
that
not,
study.
you read that? I think her name is Alex Cousins, I think. But think about it, like it's not only diet, of course, but it was actually the context of chasing the brightest, ripest, sweetest, more delicious fruit available. So we developed these societal interactions and structures to organize. And oh, by the way, I remember that we passed by this little forest or jungle and we found lots of bananas. Let's go back. And then you look up and all these things that we take for granted, just the vision, color vision, movement, grasping, climbing trees, smell, all these things. I mean,
And
if
we're
I
very attracted to
yeah,
fruit. Why are we attracted to it? Because we have sweet receptors on our tongue.
yes,
And there's also, it was just making me think of author Tony Wright, who was one of the speakers at the Woodstock Fruit Festival one year,
yeah,
where Dr. Areli and I both speak. And Tony Wright is from the UK, and he wrote a book about fruit and the brain.
yeah,
It's very recent. It came out about a year ago. His first book was called Left in the Dark,
okay,
and that book also explores the need for plant foods and how our brain deteriorates when we don't have it. I have quoted a lot of the research in Tony Wright's two books in my book, Heal and Prevent Autism. And
right,
that goes right along with what you're saying about how we were designed to eat fruit and greens. We were not only fruit eaters, we're also leafy green plant eaters, but we definitely need fruit, something which is often looked at as only a snack in
yeah,
Western cultures, and it's also sometimes looked at as being harmful and too much sugar, but it's natural fruit sugar. And with what you were saying before, Areli, about the fiber, because it has fiber, it digests slowly and it does not spike the blood sugar. It's
it's not a
different if
Coca-Cola.
it's juiced.
It's not a Coca-Cola. It's not a candy. Fruit is carbohydrates in the purest, healthiest version. Like, why do you think people fail? Why do you think people fall off the wagon of the paleo diet or keto diet? Because the first prohibition that they have from their prescriber of that diet is don't eat fruit, don't eat sweet, don't eat carbs, use protein or fat, either whether you're paleo or keto, right? Paleo diet is protein based, keto diet is fat based, animal based, both of them. What do we have as a differentiator? Well, we base our diet in carbs, but there's a lot of stigma about carbs because people, I mean, again, it's just like the same as, oh, where do you get your protein? It's such a backward question. Carbs from fruit are healthy. Carbs from fruit are not going to spike your blood level, sugar blood levels or insulin levels because it's, as Karen mentioned, rich in fiber, and the fiber delays the absorption of glucose. And it's not only sugar. It's not like you're eating tablespoons of table sugar. You're eating lots of water, lots of fiber, lots of vitamin, minerals, antioxidants, carbohydrates to give you your
And
calories.
glucose for energy.
Yes, the energy,
Glucose
the
for energy.
calories.
And when the fat is in there, when all that, especially animal fat, is in there, it clogs the bloodstream so that the glucose from the fruit cannot get into the cells.
Yeah.
That's
Somebody
where
mentioned,
you lose nutrients, you lose antioxidants, and that is how diabetes is formed.
Exactly. Insulin resistance comes from fat interfering with glucose absorption, and therefore the insulin, the pancreas says, what's going on? I don't get glucose in my cells. Let's pump up more insulin. And that's a cycle, a vicious cycle that ends up in diabetes and all the complications. But somebody mentioned here that we need to add why fruit is healthy is because has readily digestible carbs, readily digestible. That's why we are so energetic. That's why we don't have lethargy after a big meal like paleo people or keto people. That's why we don't rely on caffeine like most people on these diets. I mean, if you think about it, the keto people do a lot of bulletproof coffee, which is coffee with butter, and it's just bypassing, so many essential natural pathways, metabolic pathways in your body. Rather, I mean, they just hijack your body, but it taxes your body doing all these shortcuts. So, yeah, this diet, rediscovering who we really are, how we are really designed to it is essential and a responsibility from all of us. So don't rely on influencers that did a Ravi and challenge and they are popular and they're pretty and young and they have a lot of traction and followers.
Go with
Don't rely.
people, go with people, listen to people who have been doing this for many years.
Yes. So
I'm
we
not
have an
just,
example.
I'm just not saying that you have to listen to us. I say question everyone
Yeah.
who you listen to. Like, don't even take what I'm saying for face value. Go
Yeah.
and look up some of the studies that we're talking about here.
Exactly. We're just
See for
providing
yourself
you with.
and try out this way of living for yourself and experience it on a personal level, because the research is out there. We're making that really clear, but
Yeah.
you have to experience it yourself. And also, don't listen to misinformation. Try it yourself. And there's also people who came into this diet and lifestyle, and I knew many of them because I've been living raw vegan for 28 years, and I've seen people go in and out of this way of living. And one thing I can tell you for sure is that some of them were not eating enough fruit.
Oh,
So
I mean, that video that I went with Lisa, that's a common thing. Like they're either juicing or excessively fasting or, and limiting their calories because many of these girls, unfortunately, they think that looking healthy is just to have like a six-pack abs and just, being camera ready and posing in bikinis all the time. Girls, women, life happens during your period. You're not going to look like a bikini model. You're not going to be like picture perfect every single day. Especially at dinner time, like my belly grows and then next day I go to the restroom because of my fiber. First thing in the morning, uh, my stomach is flat in the morning, but it's not forever. Like these people that model lots of bikinis, looks do not tell you exactly how the insights of a person is working. So many people criticize, oh, raw vegans look older, raw fruit ages you. It's not. I mean, the looks, the wrinkles, the
we're going
gray hair,
to get older.
it's,
We are
it's
going to get
lifestyle.
older. No, I'm in my
Yeah,
late 60s now, and I mean, I'm aging. However, I have
me
so
too.
much energy. I don't deal with a lot of the problems that menopausal women are experiencing as they get older. And I attribute that to the way that I eat. I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah,
So I think that we have to move every day, that we have to make sure that we're eating enough fruit, that we also have to make sure that we're eating enough leafy greens, because there are many people who do eat enough fruit, but then they don't get enough minerals
that's the
from their greens.
importance of
So
the
I think
bundle.
people fall off the wagon from that too.
Yeah, yeah. People romanticize the fruitarian lifestyle, which I have nothing against if you prioritize the fruit and that's your main concern in life. So many of us have, other activities, and definitely we, especially women. There are so many fruitarian guys that romanticize the fruitarian lifestyle, and I would say that guys don't have periods. Women have periods. Therefore, you need calcium. You need iron. Basically, every month we bleed, so you need to replace that iron, and that's coming from leafy greens. Women falling with anemia, having weight loss, excessive or hair loss, or you know, it's because they're missing the greens.
They're missing their minerals. They're
And
absolutely
yeah,
missing minerals. And
the
it's not
importance.
going to help to take an iron supplement. Iron
No.
and calcium supplements are extremely toxic.
Yes, and also I want to say that the reason why we are coming to this live is obviously to promote the healthiest version of veganism, which in my opinion is raw veganism. And it's not only my opinion, but it's Karen's experience, my experience, so many other people experience. And to tell you that if you really want to shortcut your learning curve about raw veganism, get the bundle. It's $49. And it's the compilation of all this knowledge of experienced people who have been doing this for years. So don't try to go raw vegan, just like
Yes, it's so worth it, this bundle. It's $49 and
yeah,
it's like $2,200 worth of mini courses, ebooks, all kinds of fantastic information.
yeah.
So it's like it's just something that when you get it, you will realize that these are tools, resources that you will have for the rest of your life.
Yeah, don't try to do it like a trial and error like I did. It took me 2 years to finally understand and master my raw vegan lifestyle. Learn from the people who have been doing this for years, and only $49 you get access to 500 recipes and mini courses. Is not is experienced people. If you're a woman who doesn't want to have a bad menopause, try her mini course in the bundle. And so many other authors that I don't even remember, but there is something for everyone. Every age, every gender has an author in the raw vegan community. So don't relate if you don't relate to us. There are other people who are doing it. So it ends today. So many of us want to take wait until the last
And
minute to do
tomorrow,
something.
it ends tomorrow on Monday
Oh,
at
really?
11:59 p.m. Pacific time.
So
So
today is the 10, right? Okay. Yeah.
today
I
and
thought,
tomorrow, and go to
yeah,
one of our bio page, and click on the link there.
yeah.
uh, I'm my bio is super healthy raw, and Dr. Areli is raw vegan doctor, and you'll see the link and click on one of her links and you'll go through and you can see all that you get. It's really pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I've
don't
been
get convinced by
recommending
us.
all the bundles every single time, and everybody comes back to me telling me how much they've loved it and how much they've gotten out of it.
Oh, definitely. Just go to our bios, click on it. If you're not convinced by our talk here, you can really scroll and see all the content that is in there. I mean, I think somebody said 30 ebooks and mini courses. Learning from 30 people who are doing this like over. So don't be you do it overnight. In this case, take a shortcut and learn from experienced people who have been doing this responsibly. Um, this lady from Europe, I forgot her name, Rennie and Jesse, they are, Robbie and couple. I don't think they were planning on having kids before, but now I think Rennie is past 40, right? A little bit, or maybe she's in her.
They just had a baby, and
They just
doctors Karen and Rick Dina just had a baby.
what? What? Oh
And
my
they're
God!
50s.
Karen, Karen Dina in her 50s had a baby. Wow! And she's raw vegan, and I assure you that that baby is super healthy.
These are healthy babies. I can anybody who doesn't believe that you can have healthy raw vegan children,
Yeah,
read the book Creating Healthy Children. It's
that's
available
Karen
on
Ranzi.
my website at
Yeah,
superhealthychildren.com. If you don't believe that you can have a healthy family, and these people are having kids even at older ages, and their babies are super healthy, and they're going to be raising very, very healthy children. I've already talked to both of those families, and they're really on the right road. So this is really the way. It's not only for adults, It's for kids too. Why would kids be left out? So
Yeah.
just have to do it right. You can't go in doing like high fat raw vegan, or there's even processed food raw vegan. I mean, there's many different ways to do raw vegan. So you
Right.
want to just do what we've talked about here today. And I think the talk that Areli and I have had right now is different than a lot of the other talks you're going to hear on the lives,
Yeah.
because we are researchers.
Exactly. I mean, I'm so skeptical. I don't get easily convinced by something. I had to make sure before even implementing on myself, and even before talking about this on social media. You know, it's a there is a position of the American Society of Diet. What's the name? American Dietetic Society. I think that's the name. Canadian Dietetic Society. UK Dietetic Society. Maybe they have a different names, but you get the point. National organizations, they have a stand in their guidelines saying we find out that a vegan lifestyle properly planned is suitable for everybody on all stages in their life. So raw vegan it could be considered a vegan plant-based diet, but you know it hasn't been studied like mass scale. Just because it hasn't been studied mass scale doesn't mean that it's less valid than, let me tell you
There
that.
are so many experiences of, I raised my kids as raw vegans. My son had asthma and chronic ear infections,
Right.
even we were vegans. And so when he was the first 3 years of his life, when he was sick with asthma, that's when I switched. And that's why I switched to raw vegan. And I thought, well, we're not eating dairy. Why does he have asthma? Because dairy is the main culprit of asthma and other mucus forming conditions, because dairy is the most mucus forming thing you could put in your body.
Yeah.
But healed from the asthma just getting off of a processed food vegan diet and going to more raw vegan. We went to totally
Yes.
raw vegan, and he healed in a matter of months. And so did my cystic acne.
Yeah.
So why are these healing stories happening? They're happening. They're not just a few people. We're talking about
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of people who are coming to this lifestyle because not only is the research out there, but the personal experiences and the healing stories are there as well.
Yeah. And the plant-based doctors and all these dietetic societies worldwide that recommend veganism, or at least they have a stand saying it's appropriate if properly done. People forget the little details. If properly done, so that implies that you have to be responsible and really put attention to what you're doing. Not because it says vegan, it's healthy. There's so many vegan milks in the stores that if you read the ingredients, oh my god, it's like oil and gums and all this nasty stuff. Never.
Hidden MSG labeling. A
Yeah.
lot of hidden MSG, like things like hydrolyzed vegetable protein. I used to think that's healthy because it had the word vegetable in it. That
Yes.
is monosodium glutamate. It's hidden MSG. So you have to be careful. You don't want processed food.
No. So that's why properly done, a vegan diet is suitable and healthy. Properly done. I mean, raw veganism can be unproperly done or can be properly done. The way we advocate for this is high carb, low fat, high fiber, seasonal, ripe, organic if you can afford it. You should put emphasis on organic. I mean, all of us have these recommendations. Check out the bundle. It's there for you, $49. You just have a few hours to buy
Yeah.
it.
And go to one of our bios at
Yeah.
Super Healthy Raw or at Raw Vegan Doctor, and check out the bundle. You will not be sorry. We promise you that. I
Yeah.
have people all the time. The last bundle that came out back in October, after the bundle was finished, I had so many emails from people saying, "Can I still get the bundle?" And I'm like,
That's what happens. They wait
"Gone."
until last minute and it's done. So get the bundle now. As Karen said, go to our bios. You click on our links, any of us, and yeah, get it. Get it now. And it's a new bundle. It's not like the last year bundle, correct?
Oh no, it's completely everything.
Completely new.
all the books, and this bundle is the first one that contains mini courses.
Right, mini courses.
So, you know, I have my Happy Healthy Menopause mini course, and Lissa Maris has Checkmate Your Cravings mini.
Yeah.
There's an amazing course on microgreens from
Yes.
Maris. There's one on how to make your own wholesome low-fat sushi. There's so many. There's ebooks on transitioning and how to transition well.
Yeah.
There's one on, you know, why fruit, like a very detailed resource for people who are really learning about the benefits of fruit and not to limit them strictly like so many people do. We had a boy who is friends with my son, used to come over to my house, and he didn't know the colors of the insides of fruit or the names of fruit because his mother just didn't value them, and she didn't even give him fruit as a snack. And he was so curious. He was always asking, like, what's the name of that? Like, he didn't know cherries or the names of the berries. He didn't even know the color of the inside of a pineapple.
Oh my God.
And this is true for a lot of kids. A lot of kids today are growing up on meat and animal food and chips and French fries.
Or packaged and cereals and
chips and animal food, and they don't know what real food is.
Exactly, real food. I don't know if you have to go, but I just want to share an anecdote that happened to me yesterday. I'm in a different city right now. I came to a medical conference of like-minded doctors that are advocating for truth. I will just leave it like that. And I met some of them, and then there was a lady who had at the dinner this device that is similar to a pulse oximeter. You grab the little device, right, and it's connected to a computer. And in a few seconds, it tells you exactly your levels of antioxidants in your blood and tissues. Similar to the pulse oximeter, it tells you your oxygen saturation. Well, this one gave me a scale or the contents of my carotenes, which are antioxidants. Guess what? They have this scale that goes from F, E, D, C, B, A plus. That's the scale. Anyone who is B plus, A plus is doing okay. Most Americans are in the C, which is not so okay, right? Imagine like if you are getting grades in school, most Americans are C. That's terrible. A few others are B. Only 1% of Americans, or people tested in this country at least, tested A. Guess my score. Can you
I'm
guess?
sure it was like 100.
It was A plus plus. Like the scale, was like a
A
little.
plus plus,
Yeah.
nice.
And the ladies who are doing the test on me, like real time, they were like, oh my God, oh my God. So she's gonna reach to the highest level. They were so shocked to find out like you're super healthy. You have like the highest antioxidants of all these doctors because I attended this conference.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Imagine that.
I'm happy to do any kind of a test because I just feel comfortable with my blood work and what I eat. You know, the only things that I might need from time to time are like D3 because I'm not always able to get in the sun, but there's also phototherapy devices that
Right.
one can use. But you know, or B12, something like that. I've occasionally had a low B12. Sometimes, you know, I'm getting great plants from the farmer, but maybe there's not enough B12 bacteria. But my blood works have come back beautiful from my nutritional analysis. You know, I have all of my vitamins and minerals checked every couple of years, and everything's come back shining colors. So, you know, it just goes to show that this lifestyle, the diet, the way that we eat, that it works for the long term.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, Karen,
Yeah.
this is a great talk, and I leave you so you can do your meeting or what you have to do.
It was great talking with you, Dr. Areli. I really enjoyed this talk. I think it was an important one.
It was.
And I'll hope to talk with you again. We can do another live after the bundle is over.
Yeah, there are so many things to cover. So for sure, count on that. Yeah. So have a wonderful
Definitely.
weekend, everyone, and get the bundle. Go to super healthy. What's your Instagram?
Super, my bio is super healthy raw.
Super healthy Ra. So you can click here in the right left corner. It displays Karen's Instagram. Follow her, and you can either go to hers or mine. The Raw Vegan bundle ends in less than 48 hours. Get it now before it's gone.
Yes, and please follow us.
Yeah, I think they already follow us, but they haven't get convinced about the bundle.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you,
right.
it's really
And
good.
thank you so much, everybody, for joining us as well, for being
Yes,
here today. We really appreciate you being part of this information,
yeah,
and we hope that you got value from it.
I hope so too. All right, guys, bye.
Bye.